Time this year is just passing through like water. I don't know where it's going. It's crazy. Anyway, hi guys! Welcome back to my channel. It's Ali and today we're doing my March language study recap. Okay, let me take my notes. I have lots to tell you guys today. I feel like I always have lots to tell you guys, but this time like especially, I don't know why. Also, can we talk about the fact that it's already the 1st of April today? Like, I don't understand where March has gone. The good thing is I'm getting much more comfortable with these recaps now, so I'm also, taking notes along the way during the month so that I don't forget to tell you anything, guys. So I'm also feeling like, very on top of everything. We already have 2 recaps behind us for the month of January and the month of February. So for those of you guys who haven't seen these 2 recaps, I would encourage you to actually go and watch them because I will not repeat myself in every single recap about the details of how I study each specific language. So I would really encourage you to go and watch them if you're interested, of course. The second thing I wanted to tell you is that I have tested 2 different formats of recaps and I've asked you guys which one of these formats you preferred. So the first one was a language by language kind of recap and the second one was a week by week study recap. And you guys have actually answered my question there and you told me for the overwhelming majority that you preferred the first kind of recap. So thank you so much for giving me feedback on this, and I will then continue with this format until you guys tell me otherwise. So we'll do it language by language instead of week by week. Okay, I have my notes, I have my cat sleeping right there, so I think she will not disturb us. I have at least 45 minutes of peace, so it's exactly the time I need to film this video for you today, guys, so let's go. I had 2 goals for the month of March, and one of them was actually more of an intention than a goal. So the first one was to stay gentle with myself, and the second one was to prioritize immersion. These goals were totally related to the fact that I knew that for 2 weeks, right in the middle of the month of March, I would actually take a vacation. I would go on a trip with my mom. You would have seen that in my last video on the channel. I actually took you along with me and I showed you how I managed to study during these 2 weeks while traveling around Japan. So I hope that you enjoyed this vlog as well. But so during these 2 weeks, of course, I stayed gentle with myself in the sense that I knew I wouldn't be able to do my normal pace language learning practice. And that's also why I focused on language immersion instead of the normal active studying I do at home on top of immersion. That's the reason behind, and I do feel like I managed to reach both of these goals, to stay gentle with myself and to focus on language immersion. However, being very honest with you guys, the staying gentle with myself, so which was more of an intention than a goal per se, I managed to do it during these 2 weeks while I was on my trip, but for the first week of March and the last week of March, so before I went on my trip and after I came back, this was more difficult for me to stay gentle with myself. And I did struggle a bit at these times with the thought that I was not doing enough for my languages, and that since I had the trip in the middle of the month, I knew I wouldn't be able to study that much. So I had this urge to make up for this time in the middle of the month, which honestly was unnecessary because I was already doing quite a lot for my languages, so it was completely unnecessary. I realized that at the end of the month, so that's really something that I want to keep working on, just my mindset about this. I had a good mindset during the trip, but before and after, it was a bit difficult. First, I will start with how I feel with my Japanese right now. Also because with the end of March, we closed the first quarter of the year. So I feel like it's a good opportunity for me to let you guys know how I feel in each of my languages now compared to the beginning of the year. So with Japanese, I feel much better than at the beginning of the year. So I feel like 3 months of consistent kanji practice and speaking practice and also vocab study, in fact, have really been working, and I feel much more comfortable with my kanji knowledge and my speaking ability. So in particular, I noticed that during my trip, I had a lot of opportunities to talk to different people about different things. I explained a lot of things, sometimes quite complex. We had to actually do 2 trips to the dentist on urgent basis while I was on my trip with my mom. So definitely I felt like I was doing much better than before, and I felt much more coherent when explaining even complex stuff, and also much more confident in my choice of words and my choice of expressions. So I feel like the study I've been doing since pretty much last year after sitting the N1 exam has been paying off, so I'm very happy there. Now, it's not perfect yet, far from it. I still feel like sometimes I take the easy way out when I speak in Japanese. So basically when I try and explain something before I formulate certain sentences, I will sometimes pick the easiest way to formulate the sentence instead of trying to use a more complex sentence structure or even words sometimes. Sometimes I'm not sure about the exact words, so I try and, explain it using other words and in another way. So in a way, I'm just taking the easy way out. So that's something I still need to work on. That's also something that is very volatile. So it's always difficult to study for these targeted areas of your language practice. So I will keep working out what's the best way for me to work on this and get better at this. But so far what I've been doing has been paying off. So, which is a combination of lots of listening and reading immersion. So I'm still making sure I get this full-on immersion all the time in Japanese. I'm also focusing on extracting a lot of technical or complex vocab while doing this immersion. I'm doing speaking practice on my own and correction on my own as well. A bit more rarely, I also do writing practice in Japanese on targeted themes, so that also helps a lot. But I think I must do a bit more than what I'm doing at the moment. But in March specifically, for my Japanese, I focused on listening immersion, using the Newspeaks YouTube channel and also watching some vlogs. I found a new vlog channel that I actually like quite a lot. And then in March, I also watched some dramas in Japanese, one movie in particular, and I feel like listening immersion is really something I do without even thinking about it, so I sometimes even forget that I've been watching something in Japanese, I've been doing, as usual, a lot of reading immersion in Japanese as well, so I've read both non-fiction and fiction books during the month of March. In particular, I have loved reading Sumaho no lately, so this was a non-fiction book about the impact and the effects of new technologies, our phones and social media in particular, on our psychology and our brain activity. An extremely enjoyable read. This was actually a 6 stars out of 5 rating for me, so I do recommend it to you guys. And otherwise, on the fiction side, I've been loving taking my time reading this Murakami short story collection, Onna no Inai Otokotachi. I love his writing. That's it. I'm a fan already. I've read a few of his books since I started reading his books last year, at the end of last year, and I'm enjoying my time at 500%. Then I've also been doing targeted expression practice, like I said earlier. So every week for about 15 to 30 minutes, I speak to myself on a targeted topic in Japanese. But I haven't done that during the 2 weeks I was on my trip. Instead, I have had a lot of interactions, like I said, with native speakers. Then finally, the last thing I did for Japanese during the month of March was kanji study. I've been going through the Shinkansen Master for N1 kanji. It's been going great. I love this textbook. I have covered 13 chapters out of 31 on this book, and I've also been reviewing what I had covered for the first few chapters, making sure I assimilate over time all the kanji I've been studying with it. Okay. Chinese. How do I feel with Chinese now? Guys, I had a bit of an epiphany, I think. with Chinese. It actually happened like at the end of February. Well, it started at the end of February, but now I feel like I've had some sort of breakthrough with the language and I feel so much more comfortable with it. I covered a lot of ground, in fact, specifically using the NHK Newman Chugokugo textbook. Then I realized that I covered a lot of ground with my Chinese study. When I was reading on Do Chinese, I had been reading a lot of beginner and elementary level stories on Do Chinese, and then at some point I realized, wow, I'm so bored because this is way too easy for me now. So I upgraded my level there and I started reading intermediate level stories on Do Chinese, and that's when I realized that I had actually enough grammar knowledge and syntax knowledge to grasp what was written. So now I'm only reading intermediate level stories on Do Chinese. This realization actually prompted me to review everything I had seen with the textbook so far. I have covered already 19 chapters out of 24, so I'm already almost done with the textbook, but nonetheless, I stopped learning new things with the textbook, and for the whole month of March, I reviewed everything I had seen on grammar with this textbook in particular. It took me the whole month, literally, because I started on March the 2nd, I think, taking these notes, and I ended yesterday. So I'm now completely done with the review, and starting from this week, actually, the first week of April, I will now resume learning new things and covering the last 4 chapters of the book. In March, because I did this review, and because this review of all the Chinese grammar helped with crystallizing all the knowledge I had accumulated in Chinese so far in sentence structure, I started doing a lot more listening immersion in Chinese, because now I feel much more confident with my understanding of, in general, what's being said, and because I have so much more understanding of sentence structure in Chinese now, I'm also able to finally pick up the vocab words in between that I don't know. This is a real breakthrough because this means that I can now consume contents in Chinese, either in written form or spoken form, and I can just extract my own vocab finally. So I'm really happy that I have pushed through my studies with Chinese, because now my level will just upgrade itself exponentially. I cannot wait. So I'm still not able to make my own sentences though, but because I have also been doing a lot of shadowing in March while doing my listening immersion practice, I've also been doing a lot of reading aloud practice while reading on Do Chinese, so I feel like I'm speaking in Chinese a lot more now. This has been really helping me with my confidence speaking Chinese, and the intonation I have, of course, with my tones and also with my pronunciation, so I feel like speaking, making my own sentences and using my own words is just around the corner now. And definitely before the end of the year, which is good because starting to speak in Chinese is one of my goals for the year, I will be able to start speaking in Chinese. I really feel like, it's just around the corner. I can feel it's coming. I feel it coming. I feel it coming. Anyway, I cannot wait. During the month of March, when it comes to the detailed study I did for Chinese, like I said, I used the NHK textbook a lot this month, specifically to review it. Then I've also been doing reading immersion with Do Chinese. I've been reading this great story called To Meet, and it's actually a ghost story. I've been loving it. And finally, listening immersion practice in March, I've actually found a few new resources for my listening practice. I'm putting them on the screen right now. You can see which channels I have found. Anytime I hear spoken Chinese, I just focus and try and grasp everything I can. So for example, I've been watching the 3 Body Problem series on Netflix, adapting the Santi books, the Santi series of books, which is actually Chinese science fiction. And I've been loving it because on the show they have a few different characters speaking Mandarin Chinese, and these scenes are absolutely great for listening immersion. I love what they speak about as well. This is really interesting to me. I've been using this show to do my listening practice as well. And other than this, I am doing most of my shadowing practice using the Easy Mandarin YouTube channel. I don't know, I feel more comfortable doing the shadowing with these videos specifically. Maybe because I have the English translation right there all the time, so I don't know, it feels more comfortable. Just to give you an idea of how much I've been doing shadowing in Chinese, I would say that my listening immersion practice takes me only about 3 hours every week for Chinese, but then repeating what people are saying, I'm only doing that for like 50% of that time. And yeah, it's been going great. So it's not like I'm trying to repeat what people say like all the time, but for 50% of that time, roughly, I do try and repeat. Guys, I'm completely in love with this language. I've fallen into it. I don't know what happened. Well, I know what happened. The more I study it, the more I love it. Very simple equation there. I just feel so connected to this language for some reason. Maybe one of my ancestors comes from Russia. I don't know. I feel so connected, like on a very deep level to this language. Actually, the same thing I felt with Japanese, which again is saying something. In March, specifically what happened and what was different was that I really dived into the Assimil textbook, which I started in February. But in March, I really started using it like intently, very regularly, because the Assimil textbook actually prompts you to do at least 30 minutes of study every day. So you cover one chapter per day. So it's not very long. It should take you about 30 minutes. And I've actually been sticking to the plan. So I've been studying Russian for at least 30 minutes every single day using the Assimil textbook. Then I've been also doing other stuff for Russian every day, but at least this practice with the Assimil textbook, I've been really following it. I've already made some progress there actually, and it's only been 2 weeks in total. I just covered yesterday the chapter 14th, so it's been exactly 2 weeks, and that's because I haven't taken the textbook with me on my trip. So during the 2 weeks in the middle of March, I stopped using the textbook, but then I used the textbook for the first week of March and the last week of March. This has helped me make a ton of progress in understanding Russian grammar, understanding Russian cases specifically, and how they modify words in the sentence structure as a whole, but also with vocab, also with pronunciation, also with intonation of Russian, like reading Russian as well, deciphering. I've just made a ton of progress thanks to that textbook, so I'm really, really happy there. I'm still not able to like consume Russian contents on my own, in the sense that it's not like with Chinese. With Chinese now, I feel like I understand a lot more, maybe 15% of understanding. With Russian, I'm at like 5% maybe, because I lack, of course, a lot of vocab. I know maybe 10 verbs, not even 10 verbs. Even though I don't know that many words yet, I feel like it resembles other European languages so much. Even in the pronunciation, this language also has a lot of loan words, just like in Japanese, in fact. Just from this fact, I'm able to grasp a fair amount of words and just guess what some words may mean. And so far, it's been really interesting because it's the first time it happens to me in language learning that, you know, when I'm doing listening practice, even with a language that I just started out, I'm able to grasp quite a bit of new words. I'm saying this is interesting because I feel like all these years studying foreign languages have sort of like opened me to hearing and trying to grasp foreign languages on my own and just naturally grasp even the words that I haven't previously studied. I had some sort of mental block here that prevented me from naturally understanding, like naturally grasping words in the language when I heard it spoken. I feel like I was thinking that there was no way I could understand anything by myself in the language without having studied it first, and I was obviously very wrong, and I feel like this created this mental block in my head, preventing me from understanding anything on my own. But then now with Chinese and Russian, I finally got rid of this mental block, and I'm able to naturally grasp new words that I hear when I do my listening immersion. In March, for Russian, I did a few things because I feel like that's the language I spend the most time with during the month of March. I first did, like I said, grammar and vocab study using the Assimil textbook, but that's not the only thing that the textbook covers. Of course, I've been doing pronunciation exercises with the textbook and also listening practice with the textbook because it comes with audio files. And on top of that, at the end of each chapter in the Assimil textbook, they give you some facts about the culture or about the language itself to keep building your general knowledge about Russia or the Russian language. And I've been learning a lot of things. Then I've been doing listening practice in Russian, a lot of listening practice. Every single day I feel like I watch at least 30 minutes of some sort of video in Russian. Like I said, because I understand a lot more now and I'm able to naturally grasp some words, it's giving me so much confidence that, you know, I really have motivation to keep doing listening immersion every single day. And as you saw in my recent vlog, guys, another thing I've been doing is to focus a lot on my Russian cursive writing practice. So I've been doing that a lot and it's been really paying off because now I feel like I can write in cursive much faster and much more naturally. My hand is flowing almost automatically, which is exactly what I was aiming for. So when it comes to transcribing typed letters to cursive letters on my own, I'm able to do that without much issue now. It's still difficult though to do the reverse, so to transcribe cursive letters into typed letters, and it's also still difficult for me to decipher something written only in cursive, written Russian in general. So I'm getting there, but yeah, I still need to practice there, definitely. It's not perfect at all. And finally, the last thing I've been doing for Russian in March is to use the Duolingo course for Russian. During the month of March, I would say that I've been doing like at least an hour of Duolingo practice per week. So on Duolingo, as you guys probably know, what you focus on is sentence structure in particular, so grammar in general, but using the grammar because they don't really explain to you how the grammar works. It lets you practice your grammar, so you definitely need something on the side to understand how the grammar works first. And then also, this is a good way to practice your vocab. Keep repeating the same vocab in all the sentences you see on the app, in the exercises, and also they have specific exercises for vocab to learn the words, so this is great. And the last thing I've been really using on Duolingo is the pronunciation exercises. This is great, not gonna lie. Alright guys, that will be it actually for the recap already. March has been quite eventful for me again. I am manifesting that for April I'll be able to just stay at home and study quietly my languages, learn new things. This is really my safe place, as you guys now understand. I'm just manifesting that for the month of April I'll be able to focus on my languages as much as possible and see where this consistent practice takes me. As always, don't forget to let me know in the comments how your month of March went. I read all of your comments, guys. I am always so delighted to see what you guys have to tell me. So yeah, please, let's continue communicating with each other. That's why I make these videos. I don't make them for myself. I make them to create a community feeling, a safe space for you guys, and also for me to talk about languages, to talk about language studies. So the comment section is also a safe space for you to leave your thoughts. Thank you for watching today's video, guys, and as for me, I will see you in my next video. Bye bye. Matane.